What's up, guys? This is TheKephas. So I wanted to do something a little bit different today, and this might be kind of weird because I don't really do things like this very often, but you'll notice that I am currently in Minecraft killing pests in my area that I've carved out for myself. So yeah, I've started playing Minecraft again, and it's been a lot of fun, and in the process, I've learned something about myself as a gamer that I thought I would share and kind of share my thoughts based on that experience. So yes, I started playing with my nephew. We play on this server here that I've got going on. He made a Chick-fil-A. Good for him. And I've made a couple buildings myself, kind of, just my own little buildings that I've made. Kind of, honestly, a lot of them are videos or buildings that I've learned how to make watching other people's videos because I am not nearly as creative as a lot of people. So anyway, this is my house here, and I wanted to play the game. It was a lot of fun, starting off with nothing, working our way up. A lot of people play Minecraft in different ways, and Minecraft is really good at allowing you to define the type of experience that you want to have. You can play in creative mode and just build. You can play in survival mode, but peaceful so that there are enemies, and you can play in survival mode and have cheats on. Now, if you want to get all the achievements, you're going to want to play on survival mode with no cheats, with enemies, and that's something that is very appealing because it gives you an extra reward for the challenge, right? So that's a pretty good incentive to play in survival mode and have enemies on and give yourself a little bit of a challenge and also get those achievements. The appealing way to play Minecraft for me is a little bit of both. I don't like to play in creative mode because I like to kind of work my way up. I like to get the materials. I like to build farms so that I have food and, sustain myself and build things and all that kind of stuff. But I also like to build massive villages and towns and just cool buildings that require a lot of resources. And in that process, when I'm starting to build big things, I get the temptation to find ways to make the game easier for myself. Obviously, I can't use cheats because I have those turned off, so I discovered a way to duplicate items. I know, I'm a big, filthy cheater. It's actually very easy to do in Minecraft, and I'm going to try and demonstrate here. Yes, as you can see, I have a ton of stuff in my inventory, and we will get into that here in a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with this gray concrete block. Okay, and again, I'm not the best at this, but we're going to try. So we're going to turn this one gray concrete block into more than one gray concrete block. And that's very simple with a sticky piston and a chest. So you push the button, you open this, and you have to grab the gray concrete block at the right time. So there, I just did it. Second try. So now I have two gray concrete blocks. Push this right at the right time, and see, I was too quick that time. The timing is not the easiest thing in the world, but if you do it right, you'll get more and more. And basically, you'll start to duplicate your items. So now I'm doing it too late. There we go. So now I have 4. And as you can see, I can go on and on and on and on until I have as many gray concrete blocks that I want. Now that's kind of handy because gray concrete blocks are kind of a pain to make. You need to have the right dye, you need to have a ton of gravel, you need to have a ton of sand, and then you have to make the concrete powder and then turn that into a concrete block with water. So concrete blocks are very tedious to make. So of course, why wouldn't I want to find an easier way to do it? And that's where this came in. It also came in when I wanted to get all of the resources that I want. So I have blocks of diamonds here that I've duped, blocks of irons, blocks of gold, lapis lazuli, redstone, coal blocks, and glowstone, blocks of emerald. I've gotten all of these things by using this cheaty method. I know, I'm a filthy, filthy cheater. And at first, it was kind of exciting. I was like, sweet, now I can just have whatever I want, and it's not an effort anymore, and I can just dupe the crap out of whatever I want, and it's a piece of cake, right? I just had to get one slime ball, which is actually pretty easy because the game has a traveling merchant that sometimes sells slime balls. Also, there's like a swamp biome not too far away. So that's what I did, and I now have all the diamonds, emeralds, and stuff that I want. Here's what happened, though. Not too long after I did that, I started to lose interest in playing the game. And I haven't really logged into the server for a few days now because I It just wasn't fun anymore. And the reason why it wasn't fun anymore is because I took away the fun, which was the effort, the building up of the materials, gathering the resources, going out and exploring in a cave. Because even though it's sometimes is frustrating to have to put your building on hold to go back and chop more trees down, go underground, get more ore, and all that kind of stuff, it's also a lot more fun than doing this. This, while it's a lot easier, obviously, it's also not all that much fun, especially when you get it wrong. And then when you have the resources, you go build the thing, and then you have nothing to work towards. And that's problem number 2. Because I've gone ahead and done all this was so easy to do. It took me forever to build this little chicken coop because I didn't have that method in yet. And also building this house. Building this barn, this massive barn, wasn't a big deal. It took me all of 15 to 20 minutes in total from getting the resources, duping them, and then making the barn. Very easy, right? So I learned something, and it's kind of nothing new, but I learned the way I think with games. It's tempting to cheat or to make things easier when the game gets a little bit mundane because you have to go mine ore for the 900th time to build the thing. But at the same time, having that challenge and having that drive to work towards something is a big part of the appeal for me. Now, on the other hand, take a look at this chicken coop. So here we have a bunch of chickens in here. I have chickens all over the place. Chickens over there, chickens over here. These chickens are for laying eggs. Those chickens are for food. Don't tell them that because then they might get scared. Okay, so what I've done here is I've built a chicken coop, and underneath there are these hoppers, right? So we've got hoppers underground, under the coop, and then those hoppers catch all the eggs that the chickens lay, and then they are placed into this chest here. So now I have all kinds of eggs automatically. As I play the game, my chickens are laying eggs, my hoppers are catching them, and then I don't have to wait around for eggs. Kind of nice. Over here, my nephew built a very simple farm. So the crops grow, you push the button, the water comes down, washes all the crops and seeds down into this little man-made ravine. You stop the water, click, the water goes away, and then all the crops, for the most part, go down into the ravine and into the chest. And now we have all the crops we want. So this is another form of making things a little bit easier and a little bit streamlined. And yet for me, this doesn't feel as bad. And it's because we worked towards it. We built this. We gathered the materials. We gathered the redstone. We made the machines. And we built this ourselves. And it makes one little aspect of the game a little bit easier. We can improve on this. We can double its size. We can improve on the design. There are a lot of things that we can do to make this better and work and function better, but we built this ourselves. Same with the chicken coop. We built that ourselves, and it makes one little aspect easier. We could do the same thing with wool. We could make automatic wool farms. That would be fun to build and make the thing easier. The problem comes in with the duping. The duping is so easy and so simple to do that it takes so much away from the game. I mean, having emeralds means that I no longer have to trade for emeralds with traders and villagers, and I've taken that whole economy experience out of the game for myself. So, and same with mining. I no longer have to go underground to mine ore because I can just dupe it. Now, hopefully this is something that they can patch. But for me, when I start another world, I won't do this anymore, because this killed my gaming experience. Now, it's different for everybody. So some people may not feel that way, and that's the thing. When it comes to discussing game design, game theories, and I use that term, jokingly, of course. But when it comes to understanding the way people think about video games, it's important to know that everybody's different. But I think a lot of people who play games prefer to have a level of challenge. And enjoy the game for that reason. It's fun to have something to work towards, something to build for. When you earn it yourself, when you progress at a slower pace, sometimes it would be nice if you could speed things up, of course. But then when you do, at least for me, you quickly realize that doing that was a mistake. And now you have a bunch of materials, which is great. Materials that it's like, oh, but it's not nearly as fun as finding diamonds in the ground. The dopamine hit that you get when you find diamonds digging is a pretty big dopamine hit. Doing it through this, it's not nearly the same thing. I'm sorry if I've got I'm not scripting this. I'm just kind of going off the cuff here. But it's, for me, a lot more fun playing Minecraft if I'm playing in survival to just earn the materials myself. If I want to just build things and speed through the process, I can play in creative mode and not get achievements, but then I can still build. One of the nice things about Minecraft is it does cater to different styles of play. That works out really well because people who do just want to build can do that. People who don't care about achievements can just use cheats. And then you don't need to use duping methods like this. But for a lot of people who just want to play on survival, who want to survive, fight against the enemies, fight against the elements, so to speak, explore and build by earning the materials, by cutting down the trees, by mining the ore, and by mining the stone, and crafting all the materials, for those people, which represents probably a lot of people, maybe the majority, I would say, it's fulfilling to earn it yourself. And that's something that I've learned. And this is something that I can apply to a lot of other games. So let's move on to another game that I'm currently playing. So now we are currently in Pokemon Sword, and this is currently one of my favorite games that I'm playing. I know that might be upsetting to some people because a lot of people don't like this game, but I do. And I understand a lot of the complaints. I really don't want to get into that, though. I want to focus on something else. So one of the things about this Pokemon game is that for me, it's really easy. It's a lot of fun. It's fun to catch the Pokemon. The region's fun. The game is still a lot of fun, and there are challenges to be had later on in the game. But the biggest problem in this game is how easy it is, and I'm going to explain why that is. So we're going to go and fight this trainer here. So this person, this is like right after I beat the Rock Gym, so that's about where I am in the game. This is like my third playthrough. They're going to summon their, Barraskewda, whatever it's called, and I'm going to summon my Blastoise. Now, obviously, I don't have a type advantage, but I am 10 levels higher than this trainer, and I just got to this point in the game. So I'm just going to, bite the fish, or maybe not, because it won't let me. Okay, so they dove. That's cool. But regardless, I'm 10 levels higher, and you know what? Since they went ahead and dove, I'm just going to switch Pokemon to a grass type. Okay, so we're going to switch to one of my favorites, Rillaboom. Now I will have the advantage. But regardless, I'm 10 levels higher, and it's been that way since the first gym. I have been considerably higher level than everything else, and the reason for that is because of EXP share. Now, I don't want to get into, I'm not going to sit here and say they should never have put EXP share in the game and all of that kind of stuff, but I will say that the exact reason why this game and some of the games, more recent Pokemon games, are easier is because of the EXP share change. Now, when I first had, experienced that in X and Y, I think that was the first one, at least the first one I experienced it in, I liked it. I was like, this is great. Oh my gosh, it takes away a lot of the grinding, the mundane grinding. Oh my gosh, it's incredibly slow Pokemon, so this will speed things up, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was kind of true for a while. But now, as I play through this game again, it was also the case for Pokemon Let's Go. That game was also incredibly easy, and it wasn't because they didn't make the gyms hard enough or they nerfed everything. Oh, that's a water type. Okay, whatever. I thought that was a fire type. My bad. I wasn't paying too much attention. But the reason why it's easy is because of XP share. Now, again, like I said, I'm not saying that shouldn't be in the game or, it's beneficial. It's probably appealing to a lot of people who don't like grinding. The problem, though, that we come into is that the game is now incredibly easy. I mean, it's not like I spent a long time grinding. Okay, I did. I spent, I didn't stop and run around in the same area and grind levels. I've just been going from one place to the next, which is weird because I used to have to grind. I used to have to stay in Route 1, Route 2, and get levels up for each and every Pokemon, which, would take a long time, and oh my gosh. But just by catching all the Pokemon, all the new Pokemon that I find, and battling trainers, I have maintained, on average, a 10 level advantage over every trainer and gym trainer that I fought, and it has trivialized the game experience. Now, like I said, say what you want about the grind. That's fine. But it can't be argued that XP share isn't making the game significantly easier. And while some people might enjoy no longer having to grind, and it is nice, I also miss the challenge. I miss getting steamrolled by Whitney's Miltank. And that does not happen in this game. And it didn't happen in the last Pokemon game either. And it's not going to be happening in any Pokemon game in the future if it continues to just give you XP share and you just go about your day. Now, a simple solution would be give us the option to turn XP share off in the options menu. That way we can have, kind of like in Minecraft, how you can define your challenge. You can define if you want to have cheats, if you want to play in creative mode, all of that. In this game, you don't get to do that. You just have to take it for what it is. The only thing that you could possibly do would be to go into your party and take out all your other Pokemon and just have one in there so that way your other ones aren't getting levels. But that's just kind of silly, right? So, and of course, even if you, like, if you know, I don't like the idea of having it there. Options sometimes get on my nerves, especially in a game like this, because people who want to be ultra competitive are just going to have it turned on and they're going to rush to the end and it doesn't matter. But at least people like me who want to have a more challenging experience can have the option to turn off XP share and then have the type of challenge that we want to have. That would be a lot more interesting, at least to me, than to force me to have it on and just make the game completely trivial for myself. The only thing I can do is a Nuzlocke, which might make the game a little bit more challenging, but even Nuzlocks are going to be significantly easier in this game than they were in past games. And that sort of takes away from that whole experience because they wanted to make the game more appealing to, I don't want to say casual people, but to people who don't like to grind. But what about the people that do? What about the people that do like to grind and do like that in Pokemon, like myself, and a lot of other people? So it's not that it makes the game bad entirely. It's not that at all. Things aren't black and white. People think differently. People like different things from different games. It's appealing to a lot of people, but to some people, like myself, it's a little bit less appealing because it doesn't have the challenge that it once had. And that challenge really is never experienced in this game, sadly. There's a couple of times maybe where one of my Pokemon fainted. I've never come close to losing a battle, not even close. And that takes away from this game because it's a game about battling. And if you're not going to have the risk of failing, then why have a battling system? That's a good question. So it's another example of sort of like, it's a little bit more gray because it's not cheating like in Minecraft. It's not cheating at all. It's what the game is. But it's the developers deciding to take the game in a different direction and make the game easier. Maybe their intention wasn't to make the game easier. Their intention was to take away some of the grind. And sort of, you know, because kids these days don't have the attention span to grind or whatever. Even though kids are, you know, we did. I was a kid when I played Pokemon and I grinded. I didn't mind. I don't know where the thought process comes in, or actually what it more likely is all the kids grew up and now they are these adults who want to keep playing Pokemon but have this, they say, have a life and a family and oh my god, I can't play. And so you're given a worse, less interesting, less fulfilling Pokemon experience because game companies cater to those types of people. Sorry, that's a bit of a hot take, but it's kind of the truth. It is appealing to not have to grind as much, but the unintended consequence, I hope it's unintended, is that the game as a whole, from beginning to end, is way easier. And that's going to be the fate of Pokemon as long as a system like XP share is in the game. So like I said, it's not the same thing as cheating, but it's the game actually just going ahead and making the game easier. It's not a black and white issue. It's not saying it's bad if you like it, but you can't deny that it does make the game easier. Which brings me to the last game that I want to talk about, which is going to be something that this channel is a lot more familiar with. So here we are now in WoW World of Warcraft, WoW retail version. And if you know anything about me and you've been in this channel for a while, you probably know where this is going. So I'm sorry if this is, a broken record to you. But anyway, I'm currently playing on a new paladin character that I've created, TheKephas. She is level 32. And let's take a look here at the time played. I have spent, not the best reader, I have spent 9 hours and 50 minutes playing on this character to get to level 32. And yeah, this is retail currently. This is the newer, like the modern version of WoW, and I can take on enemies with relative ease, especially as a paladin. I could probably take on, 5 or 6 of these guys and really be fine. The game is very convenient. It has a lot of cool things that makes it easier to, run through the game. You have a bigger breath bar. I probably could take on, let's see. I might even be able to take on this elite here. I don't know. Let's find out. But if you, look, it's not a problem. So I can take on this elite guy, this elite fire guy. And if you look on the map here where the quest objectives are, it tells you where to go. It's also very handy. It's nice, especially when you're leveling up the 10th alt. It's very handy. So you level up pretty quick. You level up, and enemies aren't very challenging. There isn't a lot of need to worry about your gear. You have heirlooms. I'm now stuck in water, but that's okay. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. You get mounts at level 20. You guys, if you play World of Warcraft, you know that over time they have made the game a lot simpler to help people who have been playing for so long, because after a while, perhaps the grind just gets a little old, right? You've been leveling alts so much that eventually you're like, okay, I want to level up another alt, but I really don't want to go through all that again. I'd like things to be a little bit easier. It's also easy, I should admit, aside from having heirlooms, which you have to earn at higher levels, it's also this easy for new players as well. So this is your definitive WoW experience. Also, enemies scale with your level, so you're never out-leveling anything, and nothing's really out-leveling you either. I'm going to have to hearth out of here or something, or find my way out later. But that's basically the idea of retail WoW. And also, as someone who is visually impaired, there are a lot of benefits that the game has as well. It sort of outlines objectives for you in the world, makes it easy for you to find them. There we go. And same with resources. It kind of shows you where to go. It highlights enemies. All kinds of stuff that this game does that makes it a lot easier for me to play. And yet, I personally prefer WoW Classic, and I'm going to switch over to that and explain why that is. So this is my paladin, TheKephas, in Classic. He's a dwarf, and I am currently level 29. So I'm just a little bit behind my paladin in retail, and my time played is 2 days, 8 hours, 37 minutes. So it is almost, because it was 9 hours for my paladin, it is 2 days longer. And I'm not even as high as that paladin is on Classic, or on retail, I should say. And that's one of the major differences between the two. Also, there are a lot of, obviously, you don't have as much breath. The game doesn't tell you where things are. And let's find an enemy here. Now, this is a level, it's the same level as me, level 29. And I have to remember how to play because it's been a couple days and I've been playing 5 other games. So now I'm pretty sure that by this point I pretty much had that other mob dead in retail. In Classic, I am still fighting. Oh, and he's trying to run away, and he stunned me. Cool, or trapped me, I guess. So we're getting him though. I swear he's gonna die any second now. Bam. Okay, we got him. So he's dead. It's a little bit slower. It's a little bit more grindy. It's a lot more grindy, not a little bit. What am I saying? It's a lot more grindy. It's a lot more challenging. And it's not as accessible for me as a visually impaired player because a lot of those cool features that have come into retail aren't in Classic. And yet I find myself playing WoW Classic more. Now, this is not a video to decry people. In spite of my hot take earlier with Pokemon, this is not a video to decry people who prefer a more streamlined, simplified experience for various reasons. Whatever it is, maybe there's no excuse. You don't need an excuse. You like what you like. But I also like what I like as well. Okay, and that's kind of the point here. Is it's not gatekeeping to want a game to be more challenging. Because for me, in WoW Retail, for example, by requiring the game less time, by making it more streamlined and saying you no longer have to spend as much time, for me, you've made me not to want to spend any time. Because the experience just doesn't feel as worth it to me. And that kind of goes back to the beginning with Minecraft, because I made the experience easier for myself, because I took away a lot of the time, a lot of the grind. It was appealing for a minute, but then it quickly became boring. It quickly took away the challenge, it took away the satisfaction, and it took away a lot of the game. That might not be the case for everyone. Everybody's different. It's a black and white thing. But moving into Pokemon with XP share, not allowing people to turn that off, making the game entirely easy, takes away a lot from the game. Pokemon Sword and Shield is just as easy, roughly, almost, as Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. And that's because of XP share. And then you move into a game like World of Warcraft, where there are two branching styles of game. There's this one, WoW Classic, and there's what the game has become, WoW Retail, which was a slowly morphing experience into something that was considerably easier, at least in terms of leveling. There are still challenges to be had in WoW. I don't want to say there aren't, but for me, those challenges aren't all that appealing. I prefer the much more, quite frankly, WoW Classic is a lot simpler. Even the end game is a lot easier. Some people are going to argue that, but it's just not true. WoW Retail is a lot harder. But the investment isn't there. In this game, I have talent trees where I can build up my talents. I have spells to go learn. I have abilities that I have to go learn and unlock. If I'm a pet trainer, I have to keep my pet healthy. That kind of stuff. All of that is in this game, making it a little bit more of an investment, a little bit more of a challenge in leveling, which is a big part of the game. In retail, I don't feel as invested. And that's because a lot of that challenge and a lot of that investment takes it away from me. Like I said, a lot of people are going to feel differently. People get different things from games. Some people, when they play WoW, they're like the creative mode players in Minecraft. They just want to have fun, just doing the thing that they want to do specifically, right? That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. But then you have people like me who like survival mode, who like a slower leveling process, so that the game feels more challenging and I feel more invested, because my satisfaction comes from being immersed in that game. It doesn't always have to be Dark Souls, necessarily, but I'm thankful that games like Dark Souls still exist, games like Cuphead, because they remember the importance of challenge. And there are lots of people that complain and push to the developers to make those games easier so that they're more accessible to those people. And that's a problem, isn't it? Because when someone like me complains that World of Warcraft has gotten too easy, I'm told to leave. I'm told to go play Classic. And yet you have people lobbying, so to speak, for Classic to become an easier experience. So it's a little bit, I find it sometimes a bit of a double standard. And also, just for wanting a more complicated challenge, I'm often accused of being a gatekeeper. Me and a lot of people. And all we want is our games to continue to be as fun to us as they have always been. As things change and cater to more people who don't like those challenges, I don't want to call people casual because that's such a negative term to a lot of people. People who have different tastes. But what happens when it seems like every game becomes that? When every game has easy mode baked in. It was one thing when it was a choice. It was acceptable, I suppose, when it was an option. Nowadays, a lot of games are just changing. Games like World of Warcraft, there is no option. You can play Classic, but what happens when Classic gets boring because you've done everything? The game isn't evolving like it is in retail, and in retail, things have changed. You can say the same thing about Pokemon with XP share. You don't have the option to make the game harder, and it's frustrating. At least with Minecraft, you have those options, and they have maintained those options, and they do the right thing by giving you a reward for choosing the more challenging option, and that's exactly how that should be. People should be distinguished for taking on harder challenges. And that's something that's true of retail with things like Mythic Plus and higher level raids. They get some distinguishable things. Not as many as they used to, but they're still there. And that is a good thing. But the game overall, for people who do play the game more casually like myself, that's why casual isn't always the right word when it comes to wanting an easier option. I just don't get into the end game as much. I like to play the leveling, but that doesn't mean that I don't want the leveling to be challenging and investing. And that's why I prefer classic. So I don't want to be too repetitive. I don't want to ramble on too long. I don't know if this video explains anything. My point is not to decry people who like an easier experience. My point is to help people understand, perhaps, maybe, why people like me exist in the gaming sphere. And why people like me complain when a lot of our games become too easy or they're buy to win. We're not trying to be gatekeepers. We're not trying to take away your experience. We're trying to preserve ours. And that's something that feels like, as time goes on, with a lot of the games that we like, it becomes more difficult to do. So I hope that you understand my mindset, because the Minecraft thing kind of helped me understand it myself. And I hope that in the future, game companies can also not forget that a lot of people who play video games like the immersion, like the investment, like the challenges, and believe it or not, even like the grind. So those are my thoughts, and I am certainly not here to step on anybody's toes or decry anybody, like I said, but I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this topic. Let me know in the comments below what you think about games, the direction that they're going in, what types of preferences you have for simplicity and what you get out of them, and what you think perhaps game developers can do to appease both, if that's something that's even possible. What can a game like World of Warcraft do to appease the more people who prefer a more simple experience versus people like me who like to be invested in what we're doing? And same with games like Pokemon and other games. I'd love to hear what you guys think. By all means, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button. And feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and if you'd like, you can support this channel on Patreon. Links to all of this can be found in the description below. This is TheKephas. Until next time.